Scandal of the Clintons? That it was so dirty that even you couldn't take it anymore?
You know why? Because she has been corrupt since Arkansas. I've been following them since Arkansas. And you know what? There's so much corruption in this country. Sometimes you feel it's like a tsunami.
Yes, if you let it get to you and you see the filth posing as clean, it's enough to make you sick. There she is, Hillary Clinton. And there's the daughter now. Did you see the daughter, a twin? Did you see the daughter speaking like she's clean as the driven snow with the Clinton Foundation? Did you see that one, the daughter they dragged into this?
She's just as dirty, and so is her husband.
Another one, a twin like the mother with the same voice. It was frightening. It was like out of a horror movie. Did you hear the daughter's voice today? I never heard her speak. Wait, listen to this. I thought that this was like a puppet. Listen to clip 28. You're not going to believe this voice. Listen.
It will be even more transparent, that to eliminate any questions while we're in this time. We won't take new government funding, but that the work will continue as it is. I think that's the right choice for the people who are being affected by that work.
Now, she said nothing, just like the mother. It's as though on the knee of the mother, from the mother's milk onward, she was trained to lie and say nothing and act as though she's clean as the driven snow. Listen to the next one. This is Hillary Clinton's daughter, Chelsea, who, if you remember the history of this family, there's an awful lot to remember about this family. But listen to 29.
We have always partnered with governments, NGOs, foundations who believe the work we do is important. So whether that's around women and girls or smallholder farmers or the injectable, long-lasting, reversible contraceptives that we talked about earlier. And so what the Clinton Foundation has said is that we will be even more transparent, even though Transparency International and others have said we're among the most transparent foundations. We'll disclose donors at a quarterly basis.
Transparent foundation indeed. Now that Schweitz's book is coming out, they're going to be more transparent than ever, Linda. So don't give up so fast. I think the stink is so great that even Democrats are abandoning Hillary Clinton, Linda.
I promise you.
But let me tell you this. Wait until Schweitzer does his expose on Jeb Bush.
That's okay, because none of us in my community support Jeb Bush.
I wouldn't support Jeb Bush for any reason whatsoever. I called him Barack Bush for a reason the other day. He actually agrees with Obama on most of his policies. Did you hear Jeb Bush's statement the other day that actually my jaw dropped? Where he got up and he not only supported Obama on illegal immigration, he said the NSA snooping is the best part of Obama's legacy in clip 4. Listen to it carefully.
I would say the best part of the Obama administration would be his continuance of the protections of the homeland using, the big metadata programs, the NSA being enhanced, advancing this, even though he never defends it, even though he never openly admits it. There has been a continuation of a very important service, which is the first obligation, I think, of our national government is to keep us safe.
Another pink man, another liar through and through, supporting Obama's expansion of his brothers, that is Bush's brothers, Patriot Act, where they're now spying on every American's email. Every utterance that you make, as you know, is being monitored by a bunch of scum. I curse them when I pick up a phone. Did you know that? I imagine that there's some kid out of Colombia somewhere, some piece of garbage, who was raised on drugs, a drug addict, probably, Adderall or one of those drugs that they give the kids, who thinks that she's wonderful by spying on people. I curse them. You know what I say to them? Hey, whoever's listening in on this conversation, let me tell you something. The day is going to come. You're going to be tried for crimes against humanity. I hope to God you wind up in the gallows for what you're doing to me. And if 10 million of us said that every day to the spies in the NSA, we can take the country back. You don't understand that we have the power to win. You don't understand that you have the power, whether it be in a supermarket, as I do here on the radio show. Of course, I have the bully pulpit, as so to speak. I have the microphone, the radio. Sure, great, wonderful. One man speaking out like against this nightmare that we're living through. But you have the power. You could be on a supermarket line and sound off. Do you know that? You could speak to the clerk and make the people around you very uncomfortable. And don't think it won't have an effect. Think about the power of 5 million women in supermarkets tomorrow when they go shopping for groceries, saying to the clerk, did you hear about Hillary Clinton selling uranium to the Russians in order for money to go to Bill Clinton? Did you hear about that? You didn't hear about Hillary Clinton's uranium scandal? Do you know what 5 million women could do for the mindset of this country if they said that? Or on an airplane? Anywhere you go, you can start talking about the stink. You can take it back. I'm telling you, you can do something about it. Anyway, I'm an idealist. At the end of the day, I'm still a social worker. You don't know I was once a social worker in New York on the Upper West Side. And I was a young man who believed that I could save people who were poor till I found out most of them were thieves. They were living better than I was. That was one of the first steps I took away from socialism and liberalism as a youngster. Because at 20, I had no mind. I was just a liberal kid. I didn't know any better. I loved America, but I had no idea how corrupt the country was. And so I took a job as a social worker, and I saw how they were ripping off the system, living better than I was as a young college graduate. And that was the beginning of my awakening. And you can change things yourself every step of the way, wherever you are and whatever walk of life you're in. All right, it's the Savage Nation, 855-407-282. The minute I come back, I want to tell you about my very important book, Countdown to Mecca. It's so important. It's so on target. It's about Iran and its attempt to get a nuclear bomb and a group of generals, U.S. generals, who plot to set off a world war by bombing Mecca, and how Jack Hatfield overhears this and feverishly races to stop such an insane act, knowing it would bring about the end of the world. The minute I return right here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUY-COIN. Let me explain something to you. You know, there have been some books in history that have changed the course of human events. I can name a few that I've read in my life. One was about the meatpacking industry at the turn of the 1900s. It exposed the filthy food industry. It brought us the food safety laws. Upton Sinclair wrote it. Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, changed the mind of the whole world. Just the title alone, Silent Spring. What was she saying? Pesticides were killing the birds, and we wake up one day to a silent spring. She started the entire environmental movement. And for those of you who don't understand the importance of it, I pity you. Don't assume that you hear the environmental, they're all wackos. I've spent a good portion of my life rescuing rainforests, etc., so I don't want to go into that. But that book woke people up. There are books that wake people up. I wrote Countdown to Mecca to wake you up to what's at stake in the world right now. Islam threatens to take over the entire world. Unless radical Islam is stopped, I as sure as I'm sitting here, they will take over the entire world. Because we have people on our side who are passive cowards or overt operatives of Islam in this government. And I'm not alone in this opinion. Now, I've said this many times. I've alluded to it many times on the radio and in some of my books. But there are things that I want to say that I couldn't say, that I do say in this book called Countdown to Mecca, because it's fiction. But my fiction is based on good research. I'm originally a scientist, and I research things very well. And so I take you to Israel in the middle of the book, and I'm going to give you the germ of the plot. It's a group of generals, CIA agents, and Israeli Mossad who are plotting and arguing over whether to blow up Mecca. And I want to read you the germ of the book because you have to understand what's at stake here. So now they go down in a hangar. And they get in there, and they're in a down below. Inside were 6 pensive-looking men, 4 Israelis and 2 Americans. Both of the Americans were CIA agents in their 40s. 2 of the Israelis were of the same age, both agents with the Israeli Mossad. But the other 2 Israelis were 10 years younger than the rest, both of them nuclear physicists working for the Israeli government. They were also brothers, though this wasn't immediately obvious to look at them, with one of them being Orthodox while the other was clearly a Hasidic Jew, with the curled side locks of hair hanging down in front of his ears. Both of them worked at the Negev nuclear plant, where the entire world understood that Israel had probably manufactured close to 200 nuclear weapons since the plant had first gone online in the late 1950s. In the basement of the plant, several levels down, the Israelis also ran chemical and bacteriological weapons programs. These were launched in the middle 1960s, when there was concern about the widespread destruction the high-yield bombs would cause, as well as decades of lingering radiation. Nerve agents, blood agents, and choking agents were produced here, along with disease agents ranging from anthrax to Ebola. There was a secondary reason for producing these other weapons. In the event of an attack from any of its neighbors, the bomb runs would release these toxins and cause untold devastation in those border nations. Ashlock, now he's the general now behind the plot. Ashlock said, I take it we're all here then, because we've decided to go through with this. One of the CIA men, a gruff-looking fellow wearing a Yankees cap with gnarled hands and a sunburned face, shook his head, jerking his thumb at the Hasid. Curly here's got cold feet. Watch your mouth, said the Hasid's older brother. He has valid points. The older brother was tall and thin, scholarly looking, with a prominent nose and thick black hair. His name was Colton. I'm going to pause right there. I wanted you to see what's in store for you with a book that's going to make you sweat and keep you up at night. Because sometimes fiction is the only way to get a message across. And the name of the book is Countdown to Mecca. I don't want to give the whole plot away. And it's the last in the Jack Hatfield series. I'm not doing them anymore. I don't have it in me, and I don't want to do any more of them. It's over. And you know why it's over? Because we're going to be over very soon unless somebody speaks the truth to what's going on in this world. If you think that ISIS is an anomaly, if you think Obama's inability or unwillingness to crush ISIS is a product of his passivity, then you, my friend, may as well buy a prayer rug and learn Arabic.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.
Followed by a pledge to donate $100 million more.
So the question is this really about the corruption that is emanating from the sewer called the Clinton Foundation? Or is it really a desire to replace Hillary Clinton, the most corrupt of all candidates in modern American history, as far as I can tell, with someone not as corrupt, but more to the left of her than the New York Times, the Washington Post, you know what I'm saying? In other words, they want a so-called progressive, which is a code word for socialist, communist, whatever you wish. As you know, American political campaigns are barred from accepting foreign donations. But foreigners may give to foundations in the United States. So Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Clinton Foundation, Uranium One, selling off the land rights in the United States of America to Russia in the form of a national security issue. National security issue, or I should say a strategic medal with national security implications of very grave nature, sold off to Russia right out of our own earth. You couldn't write a novel with a story as pronouncedly shocking as this. I just published, my book will be out in 3 weeks. I saw yesterday a jump from number 10,000 to, 500. Countdown to Mecca. If anyone wants to write a novel, all you have to do is pick up the uranium scandal of Hillary, Bill, and the Clinton Foundation, the Russians, the Canadians. You couldn't invent a story like this. Now, I don't know whether this is all coming because of the book or because of people within the Democrat Party who want her out of the picture because they want to replace her with someone further to the left. And here's a few names for you. Where's Joe Biden? Just throwing it out there. He's awfully silent. Have you noticed you haven't heard from him? Where is old Joe? Who is behind all of this? And by the way, while we're talking about national security and uranium ore in the United States of America, where's Dianne Feinstein in all this? The reason I mentioned Dianne Feinstein is because her husband is a genius businessman who has his fingers in pies around the world. He made armored vests, I understand, in Iraq that failed. He's done war contracts. Wonderful man, all-around wonderful man, Richard Blum. And I'm not sure he had anything to do with the uranium story. In fact, as of now, I see he has nothing to do with it that I can tell. But we did find this. I haven't seen it on Fox either. What was the number? 500,000 to $1 million? Richard Blum gave 500,000 to $1 million to the Clinton Library, Clinton Foundation. Now, you don't think he gave that money because he wanted to get a stick of bubble gum for it, do you? Would you think Dianne Feinstein, sitting as the chairwoman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, would have known about this uranium scandal And don't you think that as chairwoman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, she should have objected to the sale of our uranium ore to a Russian company? Especially